News digital desk. Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, a place that we have been reporting on extensively for the last couple of years because of the rebound that has been taking place from the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, progressively, we have seen capacity start to roll in, right? That means flights starting to increase the amount coming out of Cleveland and people generally flying in and out of the area. Now, that success ultimately was eventually going to see a down month, and that month happened to be October, a 7% decrease in October of this year from last year in passengers. Now, we are still technically up between October then till now, but it's just the month-by-month comparison is down 7%. So why exactly is that? Well, according to Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, some flights and some airline carriers are starting to reduce the amount of flights that they're bringing in. And one in particular, Spirit Airlines, has caused a massive result on that to ultimately lead to less flights available. Now, this is problematic for two reasons. One, Spirit and these budget airlines have been a large part of the belief that Cleveland Hopkins International Airport can keep expanding. In fact, I actually interviewed the CEO of Spirit Airlines a couple of years ago to talk about this, Frontier Airlines, excuse me, and these budget airlines target Cleveland as a massive location. Frontier wanting to open a quasi-hub in this area as well. So they saw that investment. The problem is, it does not seem that the flyers are using them. So they've removed some of their services. But it's not all bad, at least from these numbers. Well, yes, 7% is what we're seeing. We saw an increase in basically full or close to full flights. From about 70-something% to 80% of all flights are being filled, which is a really great thing to show the capacity that we are at. I do want to play for you here. This is a story that our Vic Gideon did in June, just to kind of show you the hype that's been around the amount of passengers that we have seen at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport this year.
Storm of addition of service, which is a great thing. It's not something to be upset about. It's something to be excited about.
But surprised might be a better word.
Our flight's delayed now, so it doesn't even matter.
We have recovered from the pandemic. And I don't know if people aren't expecting that.
Yeah, they were a little longer, I guess, than I expected, but it's just, busy season, I guess.
But it's more than just the busy season.
With the addition of some new Frontier flights, different airlines have not only added new service, but they're adding frequency, or they're upgrading their aircraft to larger aircraft that fit more passengers.
Frontier is now a crew base, and Hopkins has added 7 destinations. The airport expects about 200,000 more passengers this year than in 2023, and even though there were more passengers when Hopkins was a continental hub until a decade ago, many of those passengers were on connecting flights and didn't leave the terminal.
It just means that there's more people coming through those front doors.
Increased airline traffic, not the only reason for the congestion at the airport, as Hopkins is also looking at the ease of getting through TSA checkpoints.
TSA tells people to start with a completely empty bag, so you can ensure that you don't have any prohibited items in your bag. Anytime they have to stop and pull somebody to the side and go through their luggage, those are those little things that add up and start slowing that checkpoint down.
Hopkins has a huge renovation project planned for the terminal next year, which should make the operation more efficient. But until then, travelers are undaunted.
We'll get through the line.
Vic Gideon, 19 News.
Right, so that's the thing. We've been seeing an increase in passengers and then ultimately an increase in security lines, and that's been a good thing. But in October, we just saw that slight decrease. Now, that's not expected to impact the actual bottom line for Hopkins Airport. They're still anticipating that we're going to surpass, I believe, 10 million passengers by the time that the year ends. An incredible number, an incredible bounce back from the holiday season, and from the COVID-19 pandemic, excuse me, that ultimately leads us into the holiday season, which is when we are going to see a lot more of these travelers. So despite the fact that we saw a little bit of a dip in October, that doesn't mean that if you are planning on traveling for the holiday season that it's going to be the case again. Still get there early, still be ready to go. A lot of complaints about the TSA lines, things like that. The airport says they're going to be clearing it out, but again, a decrease in passengers last month, but still an increase year over year. Much more on this and other stories of the day on 19 News. For now, I'm Jeff Slauson with 19 News. Have a great night. Much more to come, both on air and online.
19 News, now streaming on Samsung Smart TV. Search for channel 1035.